So I'm going to go through my human Wordle heuristics for like sort of my logic. And these heuristics, the important thing about them is that they're as close to optimal play as you can get without being a computer, right? Because obviously I can't think of the 500 words that are left over and think of the perfect word which cuts them all off. That's like a computer thing to do. No human can go through all of that thing. I mean, if you took like 2 days to do it, then sure. So these are supposed to be sort of simpler rules which you can follow, and it doesn't take you too long to do it. They're very logical and human. So I start, and I start with stare. You can sort of replace this with any word, and the logic will continue to work, right? So then, after you guess that word, can you think of a good word structure with at least 3 or 4 words that adhere to the structure? So like batch, watch, catch, patch, hash, and so on. If you can think of such a structure, then your next guess um, should be a word from that structure to see if this is indeed the correct structure of the answer. So you could even get the right answer, in which case, congrats. But if you don't, then you check if the answer is of that structure. If it's not, well, let's assume that it is, right? So if it is, then you continue to guess. Can you continue to guess words from that structure and get the right answer before you run out of guesses? If you can, then go ahead and do that. All your remaining guesses will be words in that structure, and you're gonna try to guess the words which have shared letters between your remaining words, right? And eventually, you're gonna get the answer and win. If that is not a viable strategy, so there's way too many words and you can't get enough guesses to narrow it down, then your next guess should be a word which eliminates the most of the words. So for example, if your words are things like, you know, piper, wiper, viper, piker, hira, river, riper, biker, and hiker, then you can guess a word like perky because it has the P, R, and K, and those are very common. So if there's a P in there, then well, if the P is in the right position, actually, you know it's piper or piker. Yeah, you know it's Piper or Piker. And through all the possibilities, you're going to narrow it down to very few words. So then, the next time you ask the same question, can I continue to guess words from that structure? Now you're only going to have 2 or 3 words, and in which case maybe you can now get it with the remaining guesses. In which case you win, and this is very likely to yield a strategy where you can for sure guess the word as long as you spot this early enough. So it's all about whether you can think of enough words where this is a viable strategy. The case where this fails is if you can't think of enough words early on. So it's like you don't spot that this is the structure, and you make too many guesses along this line when it's actually not possible to get the word, right? So that's this case accounted for. Now, what happens if you guess the structure, but the answer is not of that structure? Well, then you just try to guess the letters which are most common and in your previous guesses. So you essentially just adhere to the Wordle rules and you try to guess as many words until you get the right answer. Um, and you can constantly go back to this question to rethink your structure. So after each guess, you can think, okay, is there a let's make it neater. Is there a good guess I can make where or is there a structure where I have quite a few words in that structure? And if yes, then continue. Then continue with this logic from before. If not, then just try and guess a word which has a lot of the most common letters. And I think we've pretty much covered all the rules, right? So maybe on your first guess you can't think of a word, in which case you just try to guess from the most common letters. And that's sort of the logic I'm using. It's a nice heuristic, it makes sense, it's quite logical. I hope I wasn't covering up some of the logic with my camera while I was speaking, because I wasn't paying attention. But um, yeah,